Hello, good afternoon, folks and friends. Welcome back to My Opinion Matters. So, today is a very wonderful day. As you can see, it's a sunny day and it's hot actually. I'm sweating right now. And so, if you are new on this channel, you are actually watching My Opinion Matters, and this is a live discussion, a live stream of the discussion of current issues and current events, no, that are happening all around us, and these are issues that people are talking about, no, over social media and over the internet. And of course, the objective of this live stream is to help people to be well informed of the things that are happening around us. Okay, so please do not forget to click the like button, and please do share this video to your friends and to your loved ones. All right, so let us begin. Last Saturday, if you were not able to watch our discussion, last Saturday I discussed about the topic creating a safe environment for our learners. We know the fact that we are in the time of pandemic. Yes, friends, folks, we are still in the time of pandemic. That is why it is very important for all of us to follow the safety protocols, not the minimum safety protocols that the government has given us, no, and asked us to practice in our everyday lives. That's the only way that we can protect ourselves from being contracted and infected by this COVID-19. And the discussion last Saturday actually focuses on the learners, no, on how we can effectively and efficiently create, no, a positive learning environment in an online setting, because we know that the educational system, no, the mode of teaching and the mode of education for our student, no, at present are actually being done online. That is why it is very important, even though classes, no, and activities are being done online, it is very important, no, to create a positive learning environment so that our student will be safe and secured while they are doing an online classes. All right. So today, my friends, let us thank God for this wonderful day, and let us continue to pray for each other, most especially for those people who are actually infected and those people who are right now suffering because of this COVID-19. Yes, my friends, we know the fact that many people have lost their jobs and their loved ones, and that is not something that we need to ignore. We need to pray for those people, and we need to do our best to extend our hearts and our hands in helping those people. So, my friends and folks, for today's discussion, okay, let me invite you to join me in the discussion on this topic, no? Challenging world for learners. All right. So if you have comments, if you have suggestions and questions, please type in, all right, your comments and suggestion to the comment box, and later on I will read your suggestions, questions, and comments. So good afternoon for those who are tuned in, for those who are watching right now. Good afternoon. So good afternoon to Alan. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you will finish this entire video. Okay, so this is live. This is not recorded, and this is actually being live stream on the YouTube, on my YouTube channel. It's John Padillon. So I am hoping and praying that you will continue to support this channel, and you please know, share this channel to your loved ones and friends. Now, so challenging world for learners. It is true that in our present time, this is a very challenging times, no? There's a lot of challenges There's a lot of difficulties that the world and us are facing at present. And these are challenges, no, wherein we can see or we can find better solution and opportunities behind these challenges and difficulties that we are facing at present. But first, let us try to identify, no, to know the definition or meaning of a challenge, no. So when we say challenge, it is a situation or a test of somebody's abilities in a stimulating way. So at present, we know that we are actually in a difficult situation. And what makes this situation difficult is because of the COVID-19. But my friends, to tell you, COVID-19 is not the only challenges, no, and difficulties that we are facing at present. Later on, I'm going to present to you the different challenges, no. These are the different global trends. Huh? Global trends. So these are what we call the different challenges that human beings are actually facing at present. And these global trends or challenges that we are facing are the products of the research done by the United Nation, no? By the United Nation Research Development Program. Okay, and later on, at the latter part of this program, I will discuss to you one by one those global trends and challenges. All right. So the situation is not easy. The situation is difficult. So we are being tested, no? This time of pandemic, this time of this difficult situation, we are being tested, no? And part of that testing, we were able to let go or develop our innate talents and abilities. That's why in the last Saturday discussion, no, I mentioned that during the lockdown period, no, when we were stuck, all of us were actually stuck at home. We were able to discover our innate talents, no, our skills, no. So lahat yan na discovered natin when all of us were forced to stay at home, di ba? And those are what we call abilities, no? Because of this pandemic, we were able to develop and to make use of those abilities and talents in order for us to survive and to face the realities of this COVID-19. So that is challenge, no? Challenge actually brings out, no, our ability, our talents, our critical thinking, our capacity, our creativity on how we face the challenges, and therefore how we can able to solve and to find solution and remedy on that particular challenge or situation or circumstances that we are actually facing at present. So that is challenge according to Microsoft Encarta. Now in the educational system, let us look at the definition of challenge coming from the Association of Supervision for Curriculum and Development, okay, the ASCD. So the ASCD, this is an academic organization, no, in United States of America, and they are the ones who formulated the concept of the whole child approach, which was the basis of my research that I conducted last year. Now, according to ASCD, challenge means that each student is challenged academically and prepared for success in college or further study and employment and participation in a global environment. Yes, my friends. So this is the definition, no, in the educational context. This is what challenge word mean. Okay? It means that the teachers, the schools, the administrators, we need to provide academically and prepared success successful student. Okay? So in terms of academic, preparation of academics, co-curricular, and then the curricular, we should prepare our students for college. For college. Ito yung for further study. And not only for college, but also for employment and participation in a global environment. So later on, the important concepts, no, that are incorporated on this particular definition will be discussed one by one when I go to the solutions, no, of how we can challenge or how can we respond, no, and cope up to the challenges brought to us by these present times. Okay. Now the question, no, is what are the challenges that we are facing at present? So this is a very important question that we need to answer at present. Now, according to the United Nations, these are the global trends, no? These are the different challenges that we human beings are actually facing at present. It is a challenge for the reason that the whole world, okay, all countries in the world are actually affected by these social problems and challenges. And at the same time, if there is a change in the culture, in the manner of thinking, in the behavior of people around the world due to these challenges. And the first challenge is what we call poverty and inequality. So my dear friends, no, when we talk about poverty, when we talk about inequality, poverty in Tagalog it is kahirapan, no? So in poverty, there is what we call you were not able, you don't have the capacity to provide, di ba? And to buy your physiological needs. So that is poverty. Okay? And when we talk about poverty, okay, the world now has almost 1.3 billion people that live below the poverty actually. The World Bank poverty line of 1.90 US dollar per day. So as you can see, friends, no, there is already 1.3 billion people. So there are 1.3 billion people who are experiencing poverty. So the kind of life, okay, the kind of life that they have, they don't actually enjoy the standard of living because they are actually living below what the society, the standard of living of the society, where they don't have the capacity to enjoy it. Okay. Now, when we talk about poverty, there are actually two kinds of poverty. No, the first one is what we call absolute poverty, and the second one is what we call relative poverty. Now, in the absolute poverty, okay, you don't have the means, the ability, and the capacity to provide or to get your daily sustenance. These are the physiological needs of your body. Okay? So, wala kang kapasidad. You don't have the money to buy food or also to buy new clothes or to have a decent home or to go to school. So this is absolute poverty. And many of the people in the world are actually experiencing this absolute poverty. Now, on the other hand, when you say relative poverty, in the relative poverty, we are looking at the income of a person. So if a person's income is actually below minimum, that is considered as relative poverty. For example, in the Philippines, if the if what we call this the minimum wage no in our country is almost sabihin na natin 547. I start to be corrected. I do not know if that is exact. But if the minimum wage or yeah, the minimum wage of a particular worker in the Philippines is more than 537 or 537 or 47, and then you are earning below that minimum wage, that is what the law is prescribed, no? That is what the law has prescribed, 547, no? Now, if you are earning below that minimum wage, okay, it means that you belong to the relative poverty. So that is relative poverty. Okay? Still, you have the capacity to buy some of your physiological needs, but that is not enough for your family and for you. So you are experiencing the relative poverty. Okay? Now, in the world, all right, the top three poorest countries in the world are actually Burundi, all right, the Central African Republic, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So these are the poorest countries in the world. And based from the study conducted by this expert, no, when they actually made a map, they were able to identify which of these countries in the world who are experiencing poverty, no? So they created a map, and in that map, they found out that most of the countries who are poor are actually located on the southern hemisphere of the earth. Okay? And these are the countries who are located below the equator of the world. Okay? So Asia, okay, most of the countries in Asia, we are in the southern hemisphere of the world. And there are many countries and people in Asia that are poor. Oh, Africa, diba? There are many countries in Africa right now that are experiencing poverty. Okay? In Latin America, there are actually people there and countries there who are experiencing poverty. So as you can see, the South America, the African people, Asian people, all of these continents and regions are situated or located below or below the equator, and they are actually found in the southern hemisphere of the world. Okay? So that is the reality. Okay? That there is what we call the gap between the rich and the poor. And since from the time of the beginning, that problem, that what you call inequalities already exists even before the time of Jesus Christ. There is already inequalities in the societies. So from the time of the time of the memorial until today at present time, we still experience poverty. Okay? And when we talk about poverty, okay, we need to look at the different dimensions or phases of poverty. That is why there is what we call a strategy on how we can analyze, no, strategically on how we can analyze the poverty level of each country or a particular region, no, by using what we call multi-dimensional poverty index. All right? So that is very important, no? The multi-dimensional poverty index. Okay? And what are the compositions of that multidimensional poverty index. There are three. So you have to look at the health aspect of the people. Do they have access to health services? Diba? Two, do they have access to education? That is another part or factor aspect of multidimensional poverty index. And the last one and the third one is what we call the standard of living. So there is a preferred or ideal standard of living, okay, in a particular society or country. Now, if you are living or if you don't belong, if you have not reached that threshold or that standard of living, you can consider yourself as absolute poverty or relative poor. Okay, relatively poor or absolutely poor. All right. Now, in the Philippine context, no, when we talk about poverty, there is actually 16.6% of the population who are living below the national poverty line in 2018, and that is according to Development Bank or ADB. So right now, our population in the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken, we are more or less 110 million. Okay? So we are already 110 million, if I'm not mistaken, no? When we talk about demography. Okay? So more or less, we are already 110 million Filipinos. So try to imagine, you get the 16.6% of that 110 million people or Filipinos. That is actually the number of poor Filipinos in the Philippines. Okay? So I am not good in math, but if you're going to try to calculate if the population of our country at present is 110 million people or Filipinos, no? And then you multiply and get the 16.6% of 110 million people. That is actually the number of Filipinos who are experiencing poverty at present time. Okay? So that's the reality. And we expect that the number of Filipinos who are self-declared as poor will increase due to this pandemic. Okay? That is according to the PSA, no, and some of the government agencies that were interviewed, no, last week. So they're expecting that the number of poor Filipinos at present will increase because or due to this COVID-19. So my dear friends, kitang-kita natin, no, yung kahirapan, no? And I'm sure you will agree with me that even you right now, if you are watching, nakakaramdam ka rin ng, sabi nating, kakulangan, sa iyong budget, 'di ba? Nakakaramdam ka rin ng kakulangan sa budget, 'di ba? Sa mga pangailangan sa araw-araw because of this pandemic. And it seems that nobody has been spared with the effect of this pandemic, 'di ba? Lahat tayo naging equal, 'di ba? Lahat tayo ay nagkaroon ng leverage, ng level. All of us were given latitude. Walang mahirap, walang mayaman sa pandemyang ito. So lahat tayo are actually affected directly by this pandemic. Okay? And in sociology, we have this term mobility. Okay? And there is actually when we talk about mobility, This is your ability to improve your life, your social status, your economic status in the society, no? And the direction or the movement of the social mobility is actually upward and downward. But what happened during this pandemic is many people, okay, experience the downward movement of social mobility. Dahil sa pandemyang ito, marami ang bumaba, umatras, nabawasan ang kanilang standard of living. That is what we call the downward social mobility. So that is the movement. Kung dati isa kang manager ng hotel, ngayon wala kang trabaho. So you became jobless. Kasi until now yung mga hotels hindi pa rin pinapayagan magbukas ng gobyerno. So nakikita natin. So marami talaga, when we talk about social mobility, many of our brethren, our brothers and sisters, have experienced the downward movement of social mobility. Nabawasan, nawala ang mga material, nawala ang kanilang hanap buhay, nawala ang kanilang negosyo. So nakaranas sila ngayon ng paghihirap. So that is downward social mobility. But don't worry, my friends, because after this pandemic, okay, if all of us will work together, there is a chance that all of us will move upward and we will able to regain our status, economic status that we are enjoying before. But the ingredients, no, is the key is we need to work together, and at the same time we need to increase and add on our prayers every day. All right. Now, when we talk in inequalities, what is inequality? When we say inequality, this is the lack of quality, the lack of fair opportunities for all. My dear friends, at present, no, there are 4.6 million Filipinos who are already jobless. That was in July, and it is increasing according to the Philippine Statistic Authority. Okay? So, because of this pandemic, marami rin ang nawalan ng trabaho. Many have lost their job. Okay? That is why we are actually waiting, no, and relying on the economic stimulus program and package, okay, and the what we call this, the employment programs that the government will give to us, no, in order for us to cope and to recover of the losses that we experienced from this pandemic. All right, and this unemployment rate, no, the number of people who have lost their job, this is another example of inequalities. Okay, and when we talk about inequalities, okay, in the different aspect of in our society, okay, the inequalities are there. Okay, inequalities or lack the lack of what we call fairness, di ba? The lack of equality, di ba? It is manifested and seen in education, di ba? So ngayon nakikita natin, kapag ikaw ay nasa private school, you have the capacity to attend the online classes. But how about those people, those students who are in the public school? Okay? And I guess on October 5, no, they will be reopening the schools, the public schools. So we will see there is now what we call the gap between the students who are capable and and have the capacity to conduct or to attend an online classes because they have connectivity. But those students who do not have the connectivity, simply because they do not have the gadgets and they do not have the internet, they will just endure the the module, okay, or the live telecast of the lesson in the television or in the radio. So we can see the inequalities in terms of the access, no, the access in education, di ba? So that is also manifested in education. Next, the inequality is also manifested in the labor force. Okay? So we know the fact that there are qualifications. In the Philippines, qualifications of the workers or an individual is very important. Okay? And despite the fact that there are laws that governs, that actually limits discriminations of the workers, such as the age of the worker, di ba? Kasi before, if you are overage, you can no longer find a job. But because of this law that was passed by the Congress several years ago, even though that if you are overage, as long that your skills, your capacity and abilities as a worker, as a professional, are actually fit to the requirements that the employers are looking, you can still um, uh, be given a job. Okay? So, hindi na pwede yung edad ngayon. Ang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon is yung capacity, yung ability of a person to perform that particular task that that will be given to him or to her. Okay? But the inequality is there kasi meron pa rin mga kumpanya na nagpapatupad ng gender requirement, nagpapatupad ng age requirement. And this thing should not be implemented anymore. Dahil meron na tayo mga anti-discriminatory laws existing that will actually um, guard and save guard the rights of the workers in our country. Okay? Now, another is the demography. Yan. When we see demography, so this is the population, the study of population. And when we talk about population, my dear friends, around the world, okay, there is actually 7.6 billion. There are already 7.6 billion. Okay? This was taken March 2018. So today we are already in 2020. Okay? So 7.6 billion na ang tao sa mundo. And when we talk about countries, no, the top countries who are the most populated countries in the world, of course, nandyan ang China, no? And China has actually 1.43 billion people at present. They are the number one most populated, okay, country in the world. The second is India with 1.37 billion people. Third is US with 329 million people. Fourth is Indonesia with 270 million people. And fifth is Pakistan with 216 million people. So those are the top five most populated countries in the world. Now, when we talk about Philippines, okay, right now, we are 109. So this is what I am talking a while ago. Almost 110 million na tayo. That is 109. 1,822,354 to be exact. That is from September 1, 2020. See? So we are already 109, almost close to 110 million. And the problem why the population in the world and the population in the Philippines are actually increasing because of the high birth rate as compared to low death rate. Yan. So when we talk about demography, there are different aspects. Okay? Meron pa yung density of population. In Tagalog, kapal ng populasyon. So how many people are actually living in a particular square meter? Now in the Philippines, we will get the density population, we will find out that Quezon City has the highest number of population density. Ibig sabihin, nagsisiksikan ng tao sa Quezon City. Pangalawa ang Manila. See? Now, when we talk about the fertility rate in the Philippines, did you know that there is a 2.53? Oh, when we say fertility, this is the ability or a chance that a particular woman will bear a child. Okay? So 2.53 per woman. Oh. So pwede siya sa bawat isang babae, pwede siyang magsilang ng 2 bata. Okay? So that is the fertility rate. Now the birth rate in our country is actually 23.7. So almost 24. So ibig sabihin sa isang 1,000 na population, 24 ang ipinapanganak sa bawat araw. Diba? Now, the death rate in our country is only 6.1 in a 1,000 population. So, in a day, in a 1,000 population, 6 lamang. No? In a 1,000 population, there is an average of 6 Filipinos. In a 1,000 population, ang namamatay. So if you're going to compare, mas mataas yung birth rate kaysa sa death rate. Mataas din yung fertility rate. So these are the reason why there is what we call population explosion. Diba? And this is not only happening in the Philippines, but this is also a reality in many countries in the world. Kaya ang buong mundo ay nasa 7.6 billion people na. And you know, my friends, I will share something to you. According to Thomas Malthus, if you are familiar with Thomas Malthus, in his book that he wrote in 18th century, if I'm not mistaken, an essay on the principle of population. Diba? Yun yung popular book ni Thomas Malthus. He created the Malthusian theory of population. And in his theory, ano sinasabi niya? Na the increase of population will affect greatly the condition of our natural resources. Diba? So that is Malthusian theory. Habang dumadami ang tao sa mundo, mababawasan naman ang ating natural resources. So this is something that we need to make our learners realize. Diba? Kailangan maintindihan nila na it's about time that they have to be responsible for their actions. Most especially those who are in the collegiate level. In our culture, the Philippine culture, the sociological context, di ba? Karamihan ng mga nakatira sa mga probinsya nag-aasawa ng maaga. At 14 years old pa lang, may anak na. So it's about time that we have to change that context. You know, in Singapore, actually, they were able to manage their population well. Yung kanilang population control. Hindi tulad sa China, nagpatupad sila dati ng one-child policy. But in Singapore, meron sila mga binigay na mga na rewards, no? Privileges coming from the government if and when na ikaw ay magkakaroon lang ng anak na kaya mong sustentuhan. Kaya naman sa Singapore, montik nang naging extinct ang mga Singaporeans. Mas marami pa yung mga foreigners doon kaysa sa Singaporeans. Why? Because there are many opportunities in Singapore in terms of livelihood, in terms of job. So people there are very busy working. They don't have time for making children. Di ba? Kaya yung mga young adults there, they don't have the passion, they don't have the interest of creating a family. Oh, most of the young adults and professionals in Singapore, they are very much interested and busy working. Naging career-oriented sila kasi opportunities are there. Diba? And there is what we call equal opportunities for all in Singapore. That is why they were able to manage well their population number or control. Okay? Now, in the Philippines, this is something that we need to pay attention. And we need to teach our children, no, to be more responsible. That in the future, if they will decide to create their own families, they have to be responsible enough. Okay? They need to be financially stable first, psychologically and emotionally stable first, before they will be allowed or before they decide to create their own families. Okay? So if we will not put attention on this, perhaps the theory of Malthus will become correct. Okay? Of course, technology is there. And technology has the capacity to double our natural resources. Okay? Andiyan ang technology. But despite the presence of that technology right now, we can still see and witness how fast population grow in the different parts of the world. Okay? Now, friends, next is the environmental degradation. Okay? So I know that you are very familiar about this. Where in fact, we can experience personally the climate change. Okay? Sometimes we can no longer we can no longer predict the climate. At this point of time, mainit. But then, biglang uulan. Diba? And yung mga bagyo, the nature and the characteristic of the typhoon are actually severe. Diba? Mga ganyan. So, there are different distractions, the activities, the degradation of the planet are actually obviously seen by us at present. And we are the ones who are experiencing the bad effects of this. Diba? Nakikita natin yan eh. Ang daming mga cases ng wildfire sa different countries. Last time sa California, meron din sa nakaraan sa Australia. Okay? Yung mga plagues, yung mga pests, yung mga grasshoppers, no? Sa Africa, sa India, sa Pakistan, yung different earthquakes, di ba? Floods in Mindanao and other parts, pati sa Middle East. With my surprise, nagkaroon din ng baha. Hindi naman dating binabaha. And the most frightening is the fast melting of ice in the Arctic Ocean and Antarctic Ocean. Di ba? That is very frightening. And that is a manifestation, that is a sign that really there is what we call the global warming. Umiinit na talaga ang ating mundo. And you know, friends, according to this, no, The statistic shows the number of I'm sorry, this one. Oh, model currently suggests that we will reach 7 degrees Celsius above in 2200. Tataas ng 7 degrees Celsius ang ating temperatura sa mundo. This is global warming. So this is the current model that they are actually predicting. So let's say if the average temperature in our country is 4, pag summer, di ba umaabot tayo na ng 42 o plus 7 yun. In 2020, in 2200, plus 7 yun. Ganun na kainit ang ating mundo. How much more in other countries? In the Middle East. Diba? In the Middle East yata nagpo-45 sila or more. O plus 7 mo. O di Diyos ko, magpiprito ka na talaga ng hindi lang itlog. Magpiprito ka na ng manok sa bubungan ng bahay mo kung ganun kainit. So we are now experiencing the bad effects of this climate change, the global warming, and the degradation of our environment. And there is no one to be blamed but us, human being, because we are the ones who are capable of using our environment. And the most, sabihin natin, the most embarrassing part is we are exploiting our environment and natural resources. Diba? Ini-exploit natin. Okay lang sana kung ginagamit pero exploitation ang nangyayari. It means when you say exploitation, you are using more than you are expected to use. Diba? Masyado mong ginagamit. Dapat ito lang dapat sabihin natin 50% lang ang kukunin mo pero you are going beyond 50%. Therefore, that is exploitation already of our natural resources. So it's a bad time that we have to teach our children what we call sustainable development. That modernization brought by globalization, we can achieve the level of modernization and industrialization in our country without compromising and sacrificing our natural resources and environment. Okay? Now, letter D, my friends, is what we call the shocks and crises. So, when we say shocks, okay, these are what we call activities related to terrorist attack. So when we talk about terrorism, we know that in terrorism, this is actually a global problem. Diba? And terrorism is actually a network. This terrorist group are actually connected from each other. Network na yan. There is only few people who are funding them. And then they are being spread out all over the world to terror, to cast terror to the societies and to the people. And according to the statistic, the number of terrorist attacks worldwide between 2006 and 2018 is already 8,093 terrorist attacks in 2018. At increasing yan because of what happened in Sulu a week ago. Diba? So, this is actually a reality in our society. And when we talk about terrorism, the security and safety of our country is at stake. That is why the government, they created a law, the anti-terrorism bill, and it is already a law. This anti-terrorism law, according to the government, will protect us against the threat of this terrorism, of this terrorist. Kasi terrorist is already a network, like I said a while ago. This group of Abu Sayyaf, this is related now and connected to the other terror groups in Middle East, in South Asia, and other parts of the world. Okay? Kaya nakakatakot. It is very difficult nowadays to identify who among us are terrorists. That's why sometimes I cannot blame the government for creating the anti-terrorism bill or law, because we can see that the government is only concerned that they need to maintain the order and security and safety of all Filipinos. Okay? Now, the other one is the technological innovations. So, nakikita natin yan. This is another challenge. Now, in the technological innovations, we know that there is a very fast development of technology. Ha? Napakabilis ng evolution at development ng technology. And when we talk about technology, we are already in the fourth industrial revolution. What do I mean by the fourth industrial revolution? We are right now in the age of artificial intelligence. Gone are the days of the computer, that is third industrial revolutions. Diba? Yung mga computer natin, mga third yan, industrial revolution. Okay? But ngayon, ang uso na is artificial intelligence. And you know, friends and folks, magbilang ka lang ng 30 years to 50 years, this will be the kind of work that will be replaced by the artificial intelligence, whether we like it or not. Ano yan? Receptionists, factory workers, couriers, taxi and bus drivers, soldiers, doctors, security guards, sales manager, accountant, and farmers. Okay? I know it's not easy, no, to believe on this, but this is a reality that 30 to 50 years from now, okay, this listed works or job will be replaced by artificial intelligence. Robot na. Di ba totoo? Sa Japan, nagsimula na. May mga hotels and restaurant doon, mga robot na ang kumukuha ng order, pati sa hotel. Di ba? So, makikita natin dyan, less cost yan in the operation at saka less cost yan on the part of the entrepreneur or to the businessman, less yan sa kanilang production cost. Diba? Operating expenses, less yan kasi magmumura na ang artificial intelligence, yung mga robot. Yung soldier, meron nang ginagamit na ng US yung mga drone sa pagpapalipad. Diba? Kung natatandaan nyo, yung inatake si Assad, yung pinatay dito sa may Iraq, di ba? Drone ang umatake doon ng Amerika. Ang nag-launch ng missile, malit na eroplano yon, drone yon, and it is controlled by human being. Di ba? Pero walang ano yon. Hindi siya manually controlled by human. Electronically yun, digitally controlled. Ibig sabihin, wala nakasakay sa drone. Yun ay kinokontrol lang ng computer. See? So may mga tangke na rin na ginagamit sila na drone. So we can see that this is now the trend. These are the emerging trend of this world. And 30 to 50 years from now, talagang there will be a full implementation of this type of technology, the artificial intelligence. Diba? And we have to make our education relevant and can cope and catch up to these realities that 30 years from now, magkakaroon na tayo ng artificial intelligence full implementation na in our society. So ngayon pa lang, we need to really prepare our children. And we need to what? To align our educational system, the skills and the curriculum, the academic curriculum, dito sa artificial intelligence. Diba? Now the question is, how do we help our learners to be prepared for the challenges they will face in the future? So I have given you the different challenges that we are facing right now. Some of them are already being experienced by us. They are already trends. And some of them are actually emerging trends in the future, such as yung artificial intelligence. But the question is, how do we help our learners to be prepared for the challenges they will face in the future? Now, the answer to that is we have to strengthen our educational system. We have to begin to first to change or to improve our education. Diba? So kailangan natin siyang i-modify. We need to modify a little our educational system and let us relate, let us connect and align our educational system to the needs, to the opportunities and the challenges of this global trend. Okay? How can we do that? Number one, we need to provide cross-cultural or cross-curricular and community-based experiences to ensure student academic personal growth. So when we talk about cross-curricular, it is the interconnectedness of topics and skills. It can also be integrated or integration of topics. So this is an approach in education wherein if you're teaching a particular subject, you need to integrate and you need to connect that particular concept on that subject to the other disciplines. That is cross-curricular. And that is not easy to do. The teacher should have the mastery of the lesson in order to do the connections. For example, if you're teaching math, so one particular concept in math, such as multiplication, you have to find a way that the concept of multiplication can be connected to science, to Ariling Palipunan, English, or Filipino. So that is what we call cross-curricular. Diba? O another feature is you can integrate other concepts that are related or sabihin natin kapareho, diba? Or kaugnay doon sa paksa o sa konsepto o sa skill na iyong in-explore. That is cross-curricular. Cross-curricular, I mean. Now, in the community-based experience, we need to allow our student to be exposed in the community. Okay? So we have to include some of our activities, community involvement. And this is very important in the community involvement. So our students, our learners, they need to be exposed on the interplay or the interaction of relationship, di ba? Being done in the community. Oh, of course, that will be very difficult in an online class. But if you are innovative and creative enough, you can do it. You can invite a speaker actually using via Zoom. You can invite speakers from your barangay to discuss to your student regarding a particular program. That is community-based experience. or you can actually ask your student, no, to participate and join the program, being the program actually uh, hosted or done by the barangay or other organizations in your localities or communities. So the most important here factor here is we expose our student to the community. And they need to understand that being a part of a community, they also have the functions and role that they need to do. Okay? That is very important that we have to teach them. That being part of the society, you have certain function and roles that you need to do for the welfare of the whole society and community. Okay? And by doing so, we ensure that there will be academic and personal growth. So when you apply cross-curricular, you will ensure that your students, your learners, your children will learn, will improve academically. When you expose them to the community, it is we are sure that these people, our children, learners, no, they will what? They will improve their personal growth, most especially their ability to socialize and to interact with other people. Okay? Oh, next. So in number two, use curriculum and instruction that provide opportunities for students to develop critical thinking and reasoning, problem solving, competencies, and technology proficiency. So this is very important, technology proficiency, because the trend, the world right now is going to a what we call artificial intelligence. So we need to what? We need to intensify and improve and increase our capacity, ability to manipulate technology. Diba? Dapat malaman ng mga bata, matutunan nila yon, yung technology proficiency. Critical thinking is very important. And when we talk about critical thinking, our students should know how to do research. They should learn how to identify biases. Okay? They have to what? They have to know how to do inferences. When you say inferences, how to identify, how to extract the gist or the essence of this particular statement. Inferences. And they need to what? To identify the relevance of this concept and skills to their daily life. And they need to increase their curiosity or their thirst in finding or pursuit of knowledge. So that is critical thinking. Those are the stages, those are the ways on how we can develop the critical thinking of our student. Okay? Now, in the reasoning skills, this is very important. In the reasoning, they need to learn how to explain the cause and the pros, diba? The bad, the negative and the positive implications. They need to cite facts on relating to a particular concepts or problems or phenomenon. Problem solving should also be learned by our student, no? Not only problem solving, but they should also learn how to manage conflict or conflict management. And that is part of the social emotional learning that our student need to learn or to know. Diba? Okay. Then third, develop student global awareness and competencies including understanding of language and culture. So this is very important. A while ago, we I said that we need to expose them to the community. But this time, we should expose them to the world. That's why we need to give activities that will allow our student to know what is happening to the different parts of the world. You know, friends, sadly, no, I do not want to share this, and I do not want to offend other people. You know, here in YouTube, sometimes I am wondering how come if the video is about entertainment or if the video is about TikTok or about anything else, ah, ang tataas ng view. But if that the video it talks about serious concept, it's about education, no? Konti lang ang nanonood, 'di ba? So, sometimes yan ang naiisip ko. Siguro it's about time that we need to what? We need to patronize, no? We need to patronize content in the YouTube that will allow us to increase our capacity to learn. 'Di ba? Yung global awareness, this is actually we can watch different news sa YouTube, in the Facebook. That's the only way that we will become more sabi natin, more aware of what is happening in the world. 'Di ba? Kasi sa panahon natin ngayon, because of globalization, no, there is what we call global community. You cannot say that this Philippine is alone and Philippine can stand out as compared to other countries. Hindi ganun. In under the concept of globalization, there is what we call global community, wherein all countries in the world are actually interconnected. Magkakaugnay na ang lahat. And because we are interconnected from each other, more or much that we need to be aware of what is happening to the world. Diba? And the only way, my friends and folks who are watching right now, to do that is we need to watch content, videos in the YouTube, in the Facebook, that will allow us to increase our learning and awareness on global issues. Okay? And understanding of language and culture is very important. Oh, there is what we call in sociology cultural relativism. The only way that we can respect the culture and the opinion of other countries and other people is by knowing their culture, by understanding their culture, and by respecting their culture. And that is cultural relativism. There is no room for ethnocentrism right now. When you say ethnocentrism, you are saying that your race is better than the other. Ethnocentrism yon, and it will just lead to discrimination and conflict with other groups of people and countries. Okay? All right? So Next is provide student with experiences relevant to higher education, career, and citizenship. So this is very important. A while ago, I shared that we need to expose our student to community-based activities and experience. And by doing that, actually, you are increasing their citizenship. And when we talk about citizenship, you are talking about the civic efficacy. Now, what is this civic efficacy? This is the readiness and the willingness of our children to accept responsibilities in the society. So this is something that is now lacking among young adults because as you can see, young adults are very busy playing the Mobile Legends and other mobile games. So there is now a decrease in terms of civic efficacy. And some of them, if not many, they prepared to be disfranchised. Wala silang pakialam sa ating lipunan, sa nangyayari sa ating bansa. So how can you imagine if our young adults will become disfranchised? What will happen to the world? What will happen to the Philippines kung wala na kayong pakialam? So my dear friends, we have to intensify in our school the civic efficacy. This is their readiness and willingness to accept their roles and responsibilities in the society and to our nation. And we can do that by increasing the citizenship. Kaya nga, pag tinanong mo ang mga Pilipino ngayon, gaano mo kamahal ang iyong bansa? Okay? Handa ka pa bang mamatay para sa iyong bansa? Ano kaya ang isasagot? Okay? There is actually one study conducted, if I'm not mistaken, by Gallup, a survey, international survey firm, yung Gallup na yan. In that study, tinanong nila yung mga bansa kung gaano nila mahal ang kanilang bansa. So it is related to nationalism. Ang Pilipinas, actually, awa ng Diyos, maganda-ganda pa naman. Okay? Yung ating sense of nationalism. But that was actually 5 years ago. Paano kaya ngayon? So we really need to intensify, no, our citizenship, yung kanilang civic efficacy, and at the same time dagdagan natin yan ng kanilang pagiging makabayan, yung nationalism and sense of patriotism. That is very important that our students should learn at present. Okay? Next, number 5. So we have to include evidence-based strategies to prepare students for further education, career, and citizenship. We're done with that. And number 6, second to the last, we need to help our student understand the connection between education and lifelong success. So this is also an issue. Perhaps why many children or learners are actually losing their interest in education because they don't see the connection. They don't see the connection. They don't see the essence why they need to study this, why they need to know that. That is why the approach that we should be applying right now should be experiential approach. Meaning to say, the approach, the activities, the concept, the skill should be based on experience. If that particular concept that you are teaching to your children, make sure that you will make that concept make sense in the real world or the real situation or context of a child. Diba? It should be experiential. Now in the K-12, the K-12 is actually promoting the experiential, no, learning. Meron pa yan eh, 'di ba? There are different approaches ang pinopromote ng DepEd, no, ng K-12 curriculum. Kaya maganda ang K-12 curriculum. And one of that approaches is actually experiential. So make sense by using the context of a child, by using the context of your student, so that the concept and the skills that you are teaching them will become relevant and important to them. And that is the connections. And lastly, use curriculum instruction and assessment to demonstrate high expectation for each student. Now, expectation, academic expectation is actually important. Okay? Now, in the delivery, in the conceptualization, in the part of teaching, we really need to set an expectation, a threshold, a standard in which this will use as an indicator that we are doing well. So yung mga estudyante natin dapat na-meet yung ating expectation. But we need also to remember that every time that we will set a particular threshold, standards, or expectation, be sure that that will be doable and realistic in the psychology of a child. We always go back to the psychology of the child, not to the psychology of the teacher, not to the psychology of the administrator. We are serving, we are doing everything for the welfare of a child, of our learners and children. Therefore, in planning, we really need to consider the sociological aspect and the psychology of a child. So, my dear friends, we are done. I hope that I was able to help you, okay, in terms of your quest and thirst for knowledge, no? And always remember that every Saturday I am doing a live stream on this on my opinion matters, and that is from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And I am inviting you once again next Saturday to again join me in another round of discussion here on My Opinion Matters. And if you love and like this live stream, this video, don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe and share this video to your friends and loved ones. So don't forget, my friends, no matter how life difficult is, we really need to pray to God, to believe in God, and also we have to always remember, according to Saint Therese, that God alone is enough. So see you again, my friends, next Saturday on this another round of My Opinion Matters. God bless you and thank you for watching. Bye bye.